Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good Tuesday and welcome. In the first episode, we talked about the company, well, really the two companies behind it. Blizzard at first, when the game first came out, and then now Blizzard Activision, since they've merged. If you want information about that, you'll have to go back into my VODs and watch episode 1. But today we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about how to invest in these companies. You like a game, you like a company, you know they're doing well, you know they're selling a lot of copies of a game, and you think to yourself, I wonder how I could get involved. I would like to put a little money into them. I believe in what they do, the products they release now and in the future. Not a bad place to put some dough. Well, look no further, because I have the answer for you. The stock which they trade under is ATVI, $70.50 a share. It's down slightly from 2 weeks ago when we talked about them last time. Ways to invest. So you could go and just buy shares of their stock straight up on the open market. They trade on the NASDAQ. 2, you could look at an ETF that tracks the NASDAQ. Then you get the whole of that market. Or you could look at specific ETFs that involve their stock or trade around their industry specifically. So the eSports industry or like electronics and software development companies. Or you could look at investment firms like Vanguard or Invesco, for example, who own a lot of their shares and distribute those throughout their ETFs. Exchange Traded Fund, if you don't know what an ETF is. Vanguard holds the most institutional shares of Blizzard Activision based on the research that we did. So you could potentially just do a Vanguard ETF that maybe tracks the NASDAQ or other ones that involve Blizzard Activision. And then finally, there are eSports and gaming specific ETFs. Now these are a little tricky because the fees tend to be slightly higher than some of the big boys like a Vanguard, where their management fees are going to be probably pretty low because they're such a large institutional investment firm, trader, whatever you want to call it. One I looked at and had the guys look at in specific was ESPO. And if you do a quick search, you can see a lot of what they hold is either gaming companies in particular, software companies, or companies that make the hardware that you need to play the games, like an NVIDIA, like an AMD. So interesting way to think about it. You're maybe not always directly investing in the company, but you can be invested in the industry or some of the back-end stuff, like an NVIDIA, like an AMD, who's making the components that go into the hardware that you need to then play these games. So think about it across all aspects, not just one, multiple channels, let's say. Some of the other ones that ESPO holds is Tencent, which we talked about last week, the Chinese software developer and largest gaming corporation in the world, EA, Electronic Arts, Nintendo, and there's a bunch of other good ones tossed in there. So something to think about for those of you who are just starting your investment journeys. And like I said, something I personally am having my team keep an eye on as 2020 plays out. So I thought that would be another interesting topic to talk about that's related to them without talking about how many copies they've sold, this, that, and the other thing, since we've already gone over that. And again, if you're interested in that episode, that's episode 1. And those are available on demand anytime right here on my channel.